Well, welcome to the Shih Tzu Rescue of Minnesota virtual adopters interviews. And today we have Judy Miller, who I know has been with the organization for quite a while. She also, by the way, makes our Etsy shop masks. They are so cute. We're kind of low right now, but check it out. And if you're looking for masks that have cute Shih Tzu pictures on the material. So we appreciate that as well. So thank you, Judy. Welcome, and tell us, how did you get involved with the Shih Tzu Rescue of Minnesota?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I'd like to, I have two dogs that I've adopted from Shih Tzu Rescues. The first dog, Holly, I adopted in January of 2010. She was a year old. And I adopted her from an organization called Safe Sanctuary in Fargo. I turned in an application, and I expected to be screened in some way, but I did not receive a phone call. My instructions were to come to the mall in Faribault on a given day and time. All the dogs will be there, and you take your dog from whoever comes in the door, and it's first come, first serve. And not having had any experience with rescues in the past, I thought, okay. So I drove down there. It was a very icy January day. And sure enough, I walked into this big community room at the mall, and in the door came about 25 dogs, all different breeds. And little Holly, my Holly, was in there. Because I had been told to do so, I grabbed her right away. And there were a few other people that wanted to adopt her, but I knew she was the one I wanted. So
Wow.
I adopted her, took her home. She has been just a wonderful dog ever since. Very feisty, quirky. Sue Peterson would tell you, quirky personality. But I never received a follow-up call. There was never any interviewing of me. And it was just, that was the experience.
Oh, that's frightening. I mean, you can only imagine who could have come and picked up those dogs, right?
Right, exactly.
What intentions they might have had. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, I know. And there was really no background on the dogs. I did know that she had been adopted by an older couple whose children gave the dog to them as a Christmas gift, and hence the name Holly.
Wow.
But she's pretty feisty, as I said, and I think they couldn't manage her. So after a year, they fortunately turned her into a rescue.
Yeah.
So then fast forward a couple of years, 2011, and I thought Holly was lonely for a companion because I've almost always had two dogs. And so I started looking, and I found Shih Tzu Rescue of Minnesota. I turned in my application. My experience was completely different.
Yeah.
I was so impressed. They really care about where their dogs are being placed. I was asked questions similar to those that I would be asked if I were adopting a human being. Tell me about your discipline techniques. Tell me about your environment. Do you have small children in the home? Is your yard fenced? All of those kinds of questions. And, so I filled out the application. They called me. Sue Peterson and I had a wonderful discussion. And they invited me to come then the following Saturday to a meet and greet event at the Petco near Ridgedale. And so I did. And when I walked in, there were several people who were interested in adopting the dogs that were there, one of which was my little puppy. His name that Virgil Peterson gave him was Poppy, P-A-P-I, after the baseball player.
Sure.
I renamed him Sundance, and we call him Sunny for short.
Sunny and Holly, what cute names.
So Virgil and Sue did a home visit with me and my husband a few days later. And I was so impressed with them and the organization. And I said, no matter what happens, I would really like to volunteer with this group
Mhm,
because, it's resonates with me.
mhm,
I'm an animal rights person. I could see that the organization really cared about the quality of life that their dogs were going to have after adoption.
mhm.
And I was impressed that each of the dogs were in foster care, not for just overnight or 2 nights or 3 nights, but they were there to the foster parents really evaluate the dogs
Mhm.
and assess for behavior issues and personality. The other organization did not do that. So
Right.
I really got the luck of the draw with them. Um, and so Virgil and Sue and I met, and then they came, we had a 24-hour cooling off period, as they
Mhm,
call it.
mhm.
And then they came back the next day and brought little Sonny.
Oh, exciting.
Um, my dog Holly has always been, she doesn't really like other dogs too much, but so I was a little worried about this. But from the moment those two dogs met, they began playing and chasing, and Sonny kind of knew who was in charge, and that was Holly.
Well,
Well,
that's
really, it's supposed to be me.
right. As a foster mom, that's what I keep being told. I'm supposed to be
Yeah,
in charge, but I'm never quite sure.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Um,
I'm intrigued.
so,
Go ahead.
mhm. Oh, so Sue and Virgil and I became friends,
Of course.
and we see each other socially. They have provided care for my two dogs regularly over the years, a few times a year if I need to be gone.
Mhm.
And it's just been a wonderful friendship, not just about dogs, but other things as well.
Well, you and I have the same heart because when I got connected with this organization, I felt the same way. It's like, this is a community. This is a
Right,
caring group of people, not just
right.
about the dogs, but about each other and
Yes.
how we support each other in doing something we all love, which is having those
Mhm.
great Shih Tzus in our home. So, um, yeah, I resonate with your story, Judy, very much.
Yeah. So, as I said, one of the things I admired was the organization and the thoughtfulness of the rescue. And I've also participated in um, uh, meetings of the organization. I've been a volunteer, I think, as I mentioned. Um, I have participated in fundraising activities, occasionally provide transportation for dogs coming into foster care. Um, I have also been the photographer of the organization, although another woman has taken over that responsibility in the winter months, which I'm very grateful for. Um, so I've also been a foster,
Oh, really? Okay.
and that happened in, I don't remember the year, I think it was maybe 5 years ago, when the organization adopted 14 out of 170 dogs from a North Dakota puppy mill.
Yeah.
And Martha sent out an email blast emergency. We need temporary foster homes for these dogs. And I raised my hand and I said, sure, I'll do it. Um, and so I did. I met the bus at a park in Minnesota, and all the fosters were there. And off the bus came this adorable little female dog who was so frightened.
Oh,
She was quivering and shaking, and her ears were down, and she just looked like so mistrustful. But I took her home, and here's the funny part. The female dogs were all ultrasounded before they left North Dakota,
mhm.
just to make sure nobody was pregnant, right? Well, Cookie turned out to be pregnant,
Oh dear. Oops.
which we found out on the day we took her to the vet to be spayed.
Oh,
And I had had some people over for dinner the night before, and I said to them, "Would you look at this dog? Her stomach seems really big. Is she just getting fat?" This friend, it didn't occur to me she could be pregnant. And this friend said to me, "Judy, I think she is with children." And sure enough, that was confirmed the next day. The vet saw 5 little spines in there.
oh my
Um,
gosh. So what did you do then?
well, as a single parent, single woman, with 2 dogs already and working full time, I was not set up to have puppies. And
Yeah.
so Martha and Debbie drove Cookie to meet up with a breeder in Indiana, and for Cookie to have her puppies there. And then the puppies were to come back to Minneapolis, which they did for adoption. In the meantime, my high school friend, John and Gracie Suko, fell in love with Cookie's picture that I had posted on Facebook. And so they made application for Cookie. And there was some question about adopting that far away. Obviously, I couldn't do a home visit. Nobody, could, but it was going to be a trek. And so the organization took my word for it that this was a wonderful home for Cookie. And so at the time Cookie and her pups were separated, the Sukos, already in Indiana, drove to meet the breeder, and they took Cookie. And of course, they had several conversations before,
Of course.
they actually took Cookie. And then the puppies came back here. They've all been adopted. I think the father is questionable whether or not he is completely Shih Tzu. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But Cookie was a wonderful dog. She used to love
Oh,
to.
that story makes me want to cry. What a sweet, yeah. What a
Yeah.
sweet commitment to the dogs, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, surprise, but we're
Right.
going to make sure. And I know the breeder you're talking about.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, they made sure that Cookie was put in a really good spot to be able to
yes.
have her puppies and then be able to, again, find a forever home for her and then for the puppies. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and she had those puppies completely on her own. I mean, she didn't need any help. She'd obviously done it before. I think she was maybe 6 years old at the time that I took her in. So she might be 10 or 11 now, I'm not sure.
Okay.
So the Sukos came for the Shih Tzu Rescue reunion 2 years after they adopted Cookie. And Cookie knew me.
Oh, okay.
Made
Now
me
you are
made
going
me
to have me crying.
made me cry. She
Yeah.
put her little head right here,
Oh,
like she used to do, and she just loved me up. I mean, it was unreal.
oh, Judy.
So wonderful of the Sukos to come for the
Yes.
reunion.
Yes. And for you to be able to reconnect.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
And they keep me updated, on Cookie. She's really come out of her shell. She now takes the lead when they go for walks.
Ah.
At first she did what puppy mill dogs will do. She did this wide circling, as you were walking. And eventually that circle got more narrow. She wasn't used to all that space
Oh, okay.
because she'd been confined, to a small cage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, so it's a happy ending, that's
It
for
is a
sure.
happy ending. Oh my gosh. That's the other thing, I find with the dogs that I foster that have been adopted and other fosters that we stay connected and you get pictures of the dogs as they're growing. Again, we're just one family caring for little souls that we love and adore. Oh, Judy.
Yeah, it's
Stories
just
today are
it's
so
been a
touching.
wonderful story. And I've said that when I only have one dog left, that I will foster again because it's such a wonderful commitment to these little beings, these
Yeah.
little souls. I call them souls.
Yeah, they are. They are.
And it's wonderful to see a dog come out of its shell,
Mhm,
to adapt to its surroundings, to learn to trust. It is just so heartwarming.
mhm. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. What a great story. Thank you for sharing that with myself. And I know whoever's listening is probably enjoying it as well. Well, do you have any last minute words of wisdom for the people watching this? I think you probably gave some of it.
Yeah, a little bit. I've heard a lot of people say you don't know what you're getting when you adopt from a rescue.
Mhm.
Well, you don't know what you're getting when you pay $1,000 for a puppy either.
True.
And I really believe that uh, you know animals need to be spayed and neutered first of
Mhm,
all,
mhm,
unless you're going to be a professional breeder. Um, and the other thing is we have an excess of dogs that need loving homes, and you know why go to the expense and the the effort to raise a puppy when you can already have a partially grown dog. And like I said, unless the dog has really severe behavior problems, but even at that, you can work with a trainer.
right.
Um, and really, there's just such a close bond that develops. Um,
And you
I,
hear
I,
my dog barking in the background.
yes, I do. I'm
My
surprised
foster.
mine's not.
Which is the beauty of live interviews, right? We just, whatever happens,
Yeah,
happens. But,
exactly.
but
Yeah,
yeah, that's so true. That's so true what you say.
yeah.
There are so many dogs who need it. And when we can provide them, whether they're the
Mhm,
hospice dog or whether, as you said, behavior issues or what have you, we
mhm,
can provide them the foundation and support the adoptive families
mhm.
in making that transition. So,
Well, and as I've gotten to know the organization, hospice care is one of the things that I really admire, that there are foster parents willing to give a dog a loving home for the last days of its life. Every human being, every being deserves that.
mhm,
And that really takes a special person to take a dog in knowing that it's not going to live very long.
mhm, it
Um,
does.
the other thing that I really admired about the organization was that it cares for dogs who come into rescue with medical needs.
Mhm.
And, they really put a lot of effort into uh, taking care of the dog. I remember I provided transportation for a little dog coming into foster care from the St. Cloud area. And the people turning her in said she had medical issues and they just couldn't afford. Well, yeah, it's understandable.
Mhm.
And so once the dog was in foster care, I talked to the foster a few times, and she said this dog's issues were so easily solved.
Mm.
I think maybe the people who turned her in just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
It's just sad when that happens. But of course, sometimes people don't have the resources either
Yeah.
to address those issues.
Yeah. And
Uh,
I think it's a great gift when people can recognize they need to turn it into a rescue,
mhm,
right? To help
mhm,
it find that next home rather than
mhm,
letting the dog suffer because they have health issues or, like the foster I've got now, there's behavior issues and the family just didn't have the opportunity, didn't have the wherewithal to want to take the time to train that. And, you talked about the grandparents who got it as a gift.
yeah,
Yeah, they're not just cute little things who sit on the floor and look lovely, right? They need
right.
things. They need things. So
They need structure, they need commitment, they need time, they need love.
yeah.
And I think this couple that adopted Cookie or Holly
Mhm.
was older. And, I mean, I'm older, but I think they were at a point maybe where they just didn't have the energy
Yeah,
for as high energy a puppy as she was.
yeah, because they do take energy, that's for sure. So,
Yeah, yeah,
well,
they do.
thank you, Judy, so much for your interview today. You shared so much useful information for our listeners, and I send you a virtual COVID hug.
Oh, hug, hug.
Hug, and thank you for being on the interview today.
You're very welcome, Cheryl. Thank you so much for your service to the organization.
And yours as well.
Thank you.